Good morning from New York City this morning. I don't know where you guys are tuning in from, but it is the morning time here. This is Tasemere, your host of the Blackout Live from New York, where we explore the magic that we have by way of economics and trends and business and all this great stuff. Today, I have for you just a list of going back to some of my very early beginnings of when I reported on the news. And we have so much news to report on, from politics to government to entertainment. So let's just hop right into it. If you guys have anything to add to the program today, feel free to drop it in the comments. Feel free to also look at my other co-hosts on the network Monday through Sunday. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing, how can we not talk about what is happening in the world with Ukraine? So I have to share this article with you guys about what is going on in Ukraine. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. This is the article that I'm referring to. Basically, I know most of us know by now that Russia has attacked Ukraine, missiles blowing up their international airport. And Russia isn't really part of NATO yet. They were thinking about becoming part of NATO and very friendly with NATO, but haven't made any connections to actually get into what is NATO. And so now this is a really big problem that we are having here now, because countries cannot, they're kind of debating whether they're going to send troops there to help Ukraine, because if they do, then Russia's allies will send their troops, and this would be the biggest World War III. Nobody wants war, especially after we just all had to fight against COVID. So we really have to be abreast about what's happening over in Ukraine, in Russia, because that's definitely going to impact us here in the U.S. if this is where you are tuning in from, around, goods and services. We might see oil prices go up. We already have been experiencing food prices going up. So this is definitely going to impact our economic stability. And if you're in business, this is definitely something that you should be abreast of, because if you are doing any kind of import export, you're doing any kind of overseas buying, where I know a lot of folks like to buy merchandise on Alibaba, this might really affect you when you're going to receive your goods. So we definitely need to keep an eye out on that. Now, moving on to another article that I stumbled on this week was regarding the FBI. And so I wanted to share that with you all as well. And this article is basically about digital currency. And so we all know that with the I guess the implementation or creation, or whatever you want to call it, of cryptocurrency, that we see a lot of folks are interested in. Also with these NFTs, we now need to know that the US government is figuring out how they're going to get their fair share of these assets that people are acquiring, which is super important, because I know that we all are interested, or maybe not all of us, but some of us are very intrigued by the metaverse. And so we are thinking about how can we buy land in the metaverse. So just to let you guys know, the government is probably going to figure out how they can tax some real estate in this whole digital universe, where they're already thinking about how they can perhaps control and or tax assets that you have as far as digital currencies. So just again, wanted to bring this news to you guys, because when we're thinking about business, we also need to think about how all these things kind of impact what it is that we are doing. Moving on into something that I think makes a whole lot of sense with Firefox and Chrome. Did y'all know that they were testing out this whole 100 update shenanigan, and it has been crashing some sites, which explains why sometimes when I use Firefox, it don't work. And so this was like total news to me. I had no idea that this was even something that they were testing out or anything like that. But as I skimmed through the article, you guys can see that this whole 100 version of these new browsers has affected big sites as well as smaller sites, right? HBO Go has been affected as well as Yelp. The bugs can include browsers not supported messages, site rendering issues, 403 errors. This totally explains what has been happening to me personally when I have been using these browsers. So just wanted to bring that up to you guys because I was totally surprised. I thought it was my broadband service. I'm up here blaming Verizon when I should have just been blaming Firefox because they were just testing something out and it didn't work. So now I wanted to jump over into my girl, Wendy. I don't know if you guys have been following her at all, but her show has been canceled. We all know that Wendy has been having some challenges around substance abuse, and she was in some sort of like halfway house kind of thing. And maybe you guys also knew that her assets were frozen by Wells Fargo, but now her show has officially been canceled. So sorry to see you go, Wendy. We love the tea that you were bringing to us every day. So sorry to see Wendy go. She will be replaced. A new show will be in her time slot, but just wanted to let you guys know that kind of like hot tea off the press. Moving on to Rick Ross. We all know who Rick Ross is. Rick Ross now is about to be a whole farmer out here in these streets. Rick Ross has bought his first cow on his farm. That's right, you guys heard me. He got a cow. He is so excited. He already had a few horses, and now he's adding a car to his promised land mansion estate. He's super excited about living out one of his childhood dreams, which is to be a farmer. Moving on into Neo. Now, Neo said something on one of these interviews that some folks were kind of talking about. He said that if women want men to stop calling them bees and hoes and all of this other kind of stuff, that they should basically stop dancing to this kind of music. What do you guys think about that? I wasn't really surprised about that thought process because I have also had that kind of thought process. And I know that some people say, like, you know, rap music has all these implementations and they kind of don't like some of the things that they're talking about. But he's basically saying that women can change the game if they just stopped listening, dancing, vibing to this kind of music. So wanted to just throw that in there for you guys, see what you guys think about it. I think it's super interesting that he even brought it up on air. So let me know what you guys think. And then I have 3 more articles to jump in with you guys, and then basically going to let you guys know what's going on with the show next month. So marijuana testing has caused a shortage in truck drivers. Going to bring that article up for you guys here so you can also take a gander at it. So marijuana tests cause shortages of truck drivers in Wells Fargo executive kind of like report. So basically they're saying that this whole thing around cannabis, where it's legal in some states but not legal in other states, and truck drivers are basically crossing state lines when they're making deliveries, so they can go into a state that might be legal and maybe they get some cannabis or something like that. but their actual employment might be in a state where marijuana is not legal. So this is bringing up a whole nother challenge when they're going into taking their drug test. Sorry for that, because they don't know what to do in this kind of instance. I think this is something that we didn't consider when we were thinking about making marijuana somewhat okay to do. We didn't really consider what would happen with employment. So now we're seeing some ramifications around shortages in truck drivers, which definitely, if you guys are able to loop these things together, this is going to impact when you get your deliveries, which impacts business. How are we going to find truck drivers? More importantly, what are we going to do about this discrepancy between some states being legal and other states not? And what does this mean for drug testing? So wanted to just drop that in your lap real quick. And then some specific news about New York City. One, because this is where I am physically located, but also because we know New York City is a major what can I say, has a major spotlight on it. And so sometimes what New York City does implements what other cities do. And so our new Mayor Eric Adams, has said two really important things that we should be taking a look at. One, he says that he can't wait to end the city's vaccine mandates. Basically, these vaccine mandates, and I haven't really discussed the vaccine here on this platform, but the vaccine mandates, as I'm sure most people know, some people like them, some people don't like them. There's a whole big controversy around taking the vaccine or not taking the vaccine. Here in New York City, some industries have been heavily impacted. Some people have also lost their jobs because they refuse to take the vaccine. And so now he's kind of wanting to end this whole vaccine mandate, which I know, especially for the restaurant industry, they have been hit the hardest. They have been more like gatekeepers or making sure that people have their vaccination cards in order to do even indoor and outdoor eating. And it has really impacted their bottom lines. And some of them really don't want to be in the position of making decisions on who can eat there when they're trying to just figure out how they're going to recoup some of this money that they lost from the pandemic overall. So this is really something that is going to probably be another controversy here in New York City, but also it might, in fact, implement some changes in nearby cities. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention. And then also he said something and I was like, hey, what you talking about, bro? He said that, he wants to end this whole work from home thing. He wants people to get out of their pajamas. He feels like people can't just be in their pajamas all day and stay in their house and work from home. I'm not really feeling that, Eric, just to let you know. I kind of enjoy the whole virtual component of working and being able to have a better work-life balance. So I'm not there with you on that one. I think you kind of need to revisit that a bit. And plus, anyway, it's going to be hard to get people to want to go into the office all day, every day, when they already got a taste of maybe sometimes being able to get their work done at other times during the day. So you might have some real major blowback on that. In addition, it could be saving companies office space. They might not need big office spaces anymore in order to have people come in. Do you know how much it costs to run a whole establishment, Eric? Like, think about this. Wanted to just bring those articles to you guys. And also now that my whole article sharing moment is coming to a close, I wanted to just update you guys on some things that we have going on with the network. So we all know that next month is Women's History Month. It's also a time where we are asking for entrepreneurs who are interested in coming on the platform to pitch their businesses. So definitely leave a comment on this channel in particular. So I know that you want to pitch your business because it will be during this airtime slot, but also because we just want to give people a chance to come up here, share what they're doing, get some feedback on their business, also provide them with some form of business technical assistance. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely leave your information in the comments or reach out to any of the hosts. Lastly, next week I will be having a really super special guest coming up here and sharing her story of how she started and grew a company called Luminary that is actually an international company where she does like a co-working space for women and male allies that has a heavy programming attached to it. It has grown over time. She's been in business for now 3 years, and she had some really great business tips to really share about how to grow, start, expand your business, what it really means to be an entrepreneur, not the fluff that we all hear people just saying like they out here living their best life, but they could be doing that, but there's also other things that are happening probably in the background. So she's going to be sharing some of her tips about that. Some other guests that we have coming up on the show is an actual acquisition and franchising attorney. She will be coming up here talking about, her experience of how you build businesses that have to be or want to be or desire to be franchised, acquired, or sold, and what we need to do and think about when we're getting ready to start, launch, or grow our businesses. And those are options for us. It's a whole different playing field when we're thinking about that. We also are going to have somebody from VC funding coming up talking about, how he decides which businesses to invest in and get behind and what his portfolio looks like. And so I wanted to just let you guys know some of the things that are happening on the network. Super excited to be with you guys this morning. I hope you enjoyed all of the articles that we reviewed. In summary, we talked about a little bit about what's going on in Ukraine, because how can we not? It's super major news, right? We went on to talk about the FBI and this whole digital currency unit that they have created. We need to know about that because some folks have NFTs, they have cryptocurrency, they might be trying to buy something in the metaverse. So definitely need to be abreast about what's going on with that. Firefox and Chrome have this 100 thingamajig that they're doing that has gone and broken some websites, which explains why sometimes when we're on Firefox or Chrome, we're getting these error messages. And so that was very important for me to bring to the forefront. We then went into some celebrity gossipy kind of news. Wendy Williams' show is getting canceled. Rick Ross is now a farmer. He has a whole cow and some horses on his Promised Land estate. He's going to be living out his best life, transitioning himself into being a farmer. Neo is saying that women should stop dancing to these songs that are calling them bees and hoes and all of this other kind of stuff. Women could totally change the game if we just stop listening, dancing, promoting this kind of music. We then talked about marijuana impacting truck drivers. That's something that we totally didn't think about. Some states it's legal, whereas other states it's not. And so that's totally something that we need to be looking at, because it's going to, impact when we get our deliveries. And then lastly, we talked about some specific things that are happening in New York City, with Eric Adams saying that he wants to get rid of this vaccine mandate, and he just cannot wait for that to happen. And that's on one end, and then on the other end, he wants people to go back to the office. And I'm like, Eric, I enjoy working from home. I think other people also enjoy working from home. What are you doing out here? Don't be out here talking about that. But definitely tune into me every Saturday at 10:15 sometimes. We're going to be coming to you, bringing you interviews, bringing you the news. Can't wait to catch up with you next week. Ciao.